Hey gang, so here we are. We're on Drake Day. This is probably the baby that I'm going to be picking up today, the Clipper, not the Vulture. Let's go ahead and get into it. I want to save some room to talk about the Ox and the Clipper, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on the sales page itself. Of course, the Drake Clipper is the big one that's sold this time, and I'll get into that in a sec. And the Golem Ox, which I don't remember how much cargo. We'll check and see how much cargo it carries. Looks like a fair amount, kind of a competitor to the Raft. It loads in the same way, but the Raft obviously carries a lot more cargo. So, talking shop, the newest episode of this podcast is out. I'll give it a listen. I have not yet. The first one was really well done, so I'm looking forward to him to kind of do more world building with it. The War Bond daily deal for today is the Vulture. If you want to get into salvaging, Vulture is a really good ship to do it with. There's another competitor to it, the Misk Fortune. That'll be dropped on Misk Day, but the Vulture is pretty nice, has an interior that you can live in. All that carries 12 SCU in the cargo bay. You can fit more, and it has 12 SCU in the hopper. So 24 SCU of salvage materials that it can do, and it can rip and shred all of it. So yeah, not bad. 10-year war bond deal. Again, typically new money, you can upgrade to it. Again, these war bond deals are the things that you will build upgrade chains with, which I will get to on finale day. Ships that you have available, of course, Drake has a pretty big lineup. So you got the Buccaneer, which is, I wouldn't call it a premier light fighter, but it's pretty good. And a lot like the Arrow in the M50, it will always be pretty good. It favors guns. It's got these gigantic engines, which are kind of easy targets to hit in a dogfight, but this ship will always be a good dogfighter. Caterpillar, I'd say a pretty good mid-large size cargo mover, but the true sort of secret on this is that all of these little cargo pods here are modular. So at some point they'll have different modules that can be swapped in and out. So you might have a salvage module, a passenger module, whatever, crafting module, medical module. You get the idea. You can basically build this ship into anything. And this right here is the command module that is both on the Caterpillar and on the Ironclad, and looks eerily similar to the Clipper, which is dropping it at 150 upgrade money. And they've got a special upgrade deal there. We'll get into the Clipper in a second. Corsair, really good ship, great interior. This is sort of where CIG started to figure out how to really make interiors on the ships and kind of figure out Drake's modern style guide. The Corsair was the difference between the Cutlass and what they're doing now with like the Clipper and stuff like that. This is sort of where it started. Great ship for a solo player, but for like two people, it's perfect. You get a lot of use out of it. Even though it's a competitor with the Constellation, its feel is more like a freelancer, where it's more of a two-person ship, whereas with the Constellation, you really kind of need three to get full bang for the buck, even though you can go solo. This is the same way. Very cool little ship, can carry rover, other things, rock, that kind of thing, multi-purpose ship. Cutlass Black, one of the best Swiss Army knives in the game, hands down. If you got $110 and you kind of like doing a little bit of everything, Cutlass Black is where I would say to go. Cutlass Blue is one of the few ships with an interdictor, although there are more of them now. There are more ships that have interdiction. This one does have one. It can lock a ship down. So if you see a Cutlass Blue hanging out in an OM, don't stick around in that OM because they're probably pirates. Cutlass Red, again, it has size 2 medical beds, which it sort of seems like it's going to be less being able to resurrect. They were saying for a while that you wouldn't be able to regenerate on anything less than a tier 1 medical bed, which is the highest tier is tier 1, lowest is tier 3. It goes opposite in the medical field. Now they've kind of decided to ditch that idea and go for range. So a tier 3 medical bed you pretty much have to be right next to the location, like on the combat zone, where you get ganked in order to res there. If it's a tier 2, it's in that planetary area, so this could be an orbit and you'd spawn there. And with the tier 1, you could be anywhere in the system and you'll be able to spawn on that bed. Cutlass Steel, they've done a lot of work on this one. This one's still kind of a joke. If you're going to put 25 people on one ship, you're kind of asking for it to get blowed up. It is heavily armored, more so than the other cutties. Drake's kind of claim to fame is that they're maneuverable, they're upgunned, but they're not heavily armored. So once armor is in the game, Drake is going to have to rely a lot more on maneuverability for its armor than actual armor. The Cutlass Steel is kind of the exception to that rule. It is up armored. Door guns, all sorts of guns dotted all over the thing. Obviously size 1s. It's an air-to-ground assault vehicle, basically. Cutter is one of my favorite runabout ships. It's just, it feels like a Star Trek shuttle, is basically what it feels like. Really good feel, really good sounds. CIG is always good at the sound design. Again, $45. This is sort of what I was talking about on Origin Day, that Origin Day is overpriced because the Cutter is an excellent starter. Not very good at combat, but can do a little bit of everything. Very, very good ship. And Rambler, again, for $50. This one has extended range, better scanners. Same situation. The Scout, actually, this one has a better scanner. This one has better range, I think. This one has a bigger living area. So this one's more of the camper van life. Dragonfly, it's the only 2-seater bike you got in the game. You can't do this yet where you can lean off and shoot. That's coming one day. We'll see. $40 for a bike. Again, just buy it in game. It's super cheap in game. Golem, really small ship. This is the thing that really surprised me about the Golem, is it is tiny. It fits in a lot of other ships. I think it might fit in a Corsair. It is really small. But no interior living space. It's just the cockpit. So a lot like the Salvation for mining. It's exactly like the Salvation for mining. Really small ship, just sort of meant to get your feet wet. At $60, it's just barely priced above a starter, and it's meant to get you into the mining loop without having to spend a whole bunch of money. Might be a good one to buy in game, honestly. Golem Ox is their new one, $90. Much cheaper than the Raft, but again, it carries less cargo, so that makes sense. I assume it doesn't have a living interior. Herald, this one doesn't really have its gameplay in yet. It's a data runner, one of the really early Drake ships. It has a whole bunch of quote-unquote missiles on it, which right now are size 1 missiles. These will eventually be data spikes, and what they're supposed to be able to do is you shoot the data spike onto a target ship, and you can steal the data, and then you can run back. So let's say somebody's running an MSR or something like that, and they've got data that they're running. You can come up in a Herald, which is extremely fast, hit them with the data spike, steal their data, and run away and sell the data first and make money on it before the other person can. So you make more money. Kind of a cool ship. Gameplay isn't in yet right now. Very cool interior for a small ship. Very fast. That's pretty much all it's good for right now. Ironclads. These are neat. It's basically... Simple way to put it is these are 3 caterpillars smashed together side by side. You can kind of get a sense here. There's the command module, and this is the Ironclad Assault, which of course has way more guns up front. Like this one has 1 turret here, and I think it has a remote turret on the back, and might have another one on the bottom. This one, the Assault, you've got a remote turret here, remote turret here, remote turret here, or man turret here, man turret here, and then it has turret on the bottom, and I think it has a turret on the top covered in guns. So this one I think will play really nice with base building because it can carry so much cargo, and this one would be base building when someone else already owns the land, would be my guess. Of course, Drake Kraken, amazing ship. This is This is one they came out with, I think, 4 years after the Banu Merchantman. The Privateer over here is the one that competes directly with the Banu Merchantman. And of course, it has landing pads all over it, so it's a much better traveling station than the Merchantman. And we're going to get it first, which in no way frustrates me. $1,650. It's limited. Let's see what it's doing. Oh, look, it's both sold out. Yeah, that's why I was saying you got to win the F5 war with these. This one's 2,000, which, again, sold out. Typically, these are the ones that are bought out by the resellers, and they've got bots that can click F5 500 times a second. You're almost never going to win the F5 war, but you're welcome to give it a try. The Mule, really tiny cargo mover, doesn't really have a purpose in a game with tractor beams, if we're being honest. They haven't really justified this thing's existence. It is cool. It'll be cool to see NPCs driving around, but $45 for something that doesn't really do anything in the current game. It could carry a 1 SCU box here and a 1 SCU box kind of tucked up in its butthole back here. And then it carries a bunch of the sort of hand carry boxes. I think it's the 1/8 SCU boxes. It can carry 3 on either side. So, I mean, I guess you could move some cargo with it. I don't think these arms work yet. I could be wrong. But yeah, it's kind of a cute, funny vehicle without a real purpose in the game, because if you're going to move this kind of stuff, you move with a tractor beam. Vulture, 175. Really, really, really good salvager. You can obviously jump up to the Reclaimer in size. The Misk Fortune is out there, but the Misk Fortune only has a single laser as opposed to 2. Salvaging beam. Good interior, good ship. It's Drake. If you like the Drake aesthetic and you like salvaging, you could do a lot worse. We are missing a sort of medium-large salvager and a large salvager, something, a couple ships in between this and the Reclaimer, but we'll see those probably soon enough. And we're back to the Buccaneer. And then we got the ships, the Clipper Regatta paint. It's kind of cool. Regatta is like a sailboat race. Gollum Cypher paint, which is bright teal and dark blue and fluorescent green. Yeah, it's Drake. Dragonfly Coalfire paint. This is the only paint you should ever get for a Dragonfly. And then the Smokestack paint, which I actually do own for the Mule. Let's go ahead and look at the Clipper. So there's the Clipper. And I will tell you what I think this looks like. So when I was a kid, I had a kid's book called Wump World, The Wump World. And it's basically these little, they kind of look like capybaras, and they're living on this sort of idealistic world. And then these terraformers come down and terraform the planet. It's a 1970s environmental statement book. But you look at this ship, it kind of looks like the Clipper, so that's one thing. I am sure the 20-somethings that built the ship, 20 and 30-somethings that built the ship, have never even heard of Wump World, so a much more likely representation is this, which is the Razor Crest from Mandalorian. Looks much more similar to what this is. But let's go ahead and look through the Clipper. So we've obviously got the trailer, which is pretty cool. It's kind of a fun one. And then, yeah, this is just a do everything ship. It has, well, not do everything. It can't salvage and it can't mine, but it's got a crafting bench on it, which should be working soon-ish. I would guess within the next 6 months they'll have crafting in, if not sooner. You might be able to do some crafting on it now. I don't know. I am definitely picking one of these up. Obviously has living quarters on it, and it has a medical bed. So this is the kind of thing that if you just want to dink around in the verse solo, this is a solo ship that you can do a lot of different things in. Oh, cool. They do have this cutaway. They had this sort of cutaway in the trailer, but I wasn't sure if they'd have it here. So yeah, you got your bridge. Well, you come in down here. This is one elevator here, and then it has the ramp, which it's nice to have both of these things right next to each other. You got your cargo bay here, which I think carries 12 SCU, and 1 SCU boxes, which is this one. This is the 1/8. So you can kind of get a sense it really stuffs up that space quick. but it's an option. Wouldn't be bad to pair this thing with a vulture. Actually, you could get one more run out of it. And then you come up here. It's got sort of an engineering room here, and there's a trap door right here where you could kind of drop components in. You pull the lever on this far side of the wall, but you can actually stand on the trap door when you pull the lever, and it will drop you through, which I know because it happened to me. But anyway, you got the med bed right here. Let's see, where's the living quarters? I think this is the crafting room. And then you can come over here and you can take this ladder up. So you can come in, take this ladder, go on this floor, take this ladder, or you can take the elevator up to here. Living quarters, I believe, are right here. So you got the bed on the near side that you can't see. And then you've kind of got shoilet, little computer to work at, food processing, that sort of thing. And then you got engineering is kind of this area here. And then, of course, you got your bridge. It's got a surprising, well, I guess not surprising given Drake's reputation, has a fair number of gun things around it, places to put weapons and stuff. Kind of cool. So, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the paints. That's the standard. Let's see, that was factory standard? Yes, that's factory standard. Apis. Yeah, they've always got to have like the one on there for the test squadron. Firewall, of course, black and red. That's probably going to be Carney colors. Camo, I don't know why you'd get this thing camo, but it doesn't look bad. Regatta, there you go. That's the special skin. And Cerulean, that's kind of nice. That's pretty. I don't normally go for the blue paints, but that's kind of pretty. I'm such a paint whore. Anyway, it's got a very small footprint, but it's very tall. Obviously, it's like 3 stories tall, but it's very narrow and not super long, which is good. Don't make that dirty. So coming on down, standalone 135 for new money. And this is if you got concierge, you get the extra cerulean paint. For old money, or if you're trading stuff in, 150. Then of course you got all the paints here, which are going to range probably from $9 to $6, and they have a couple different packages. So yeah, not bad. Of course you can upgrade to this thing. If you have a cutter, upgrading to this would make a lot of sense. They're kind of in the same thing. So there's your upgrade options right there. Dracox, let's go ahead and take a look at this. This will be brand new for me. I'm assuming it's a lot like the Golem, in the sense that it does not have living quarters, that is just a cockpit. Sure, looks like it. Man, it looks like it carries a lot of cargo. Cargo Beast, Workhorse, Ox brings it to the, yep, kind of sounds right. Size 2, 32 SCU cargo capacity, so 64 at a time. There you go. So 64 SCU, that is not shabby. That's actually bigger than I thought. Yeah, that kind of puts it in like Freelancer Max territory, I think, at least. Except the Freelancer Max, of course, is a bit, I assume, will fly a bit better and has an interior that you can sleep in and log out in. Other than that, stand deliver. It does have a tractor beam, which is nice. Man, MISC really needs an update. I will talk about that more during MISC day. So these are the paints. We got red and black, of course, gray steel, which is just going to be metallic, cipher, which is that weird teal and fluorescent green and dark blue, sunstruck, kind of mishmash. Yeah, not bad. Let's go ahead and see how much it costs. $80. Not bad for as much cargo as it carries. Not bad. Just bear in mind that range will probably be mildly limited, I would guess, just because it's not a huge ship, and you can't log out in the ship, so you're always going to be logging out at stations or on a big ship. I don't know if this would fit on something like an Idris, but I assume it would. I assume Foxy will be doing a will it fit vid one of these days. Wait, did I not see that yellow and black paint? Hang on. How's this for me just giving you dead silence for a few weeks? Yeah, they didn't have this one on there. And they didn't have this yellow and black one. What paint job is that, guys? Duo pack. Oh, that might be, that's the Golem. That's not the, I wonder if the paints are transferable. That would be interesting. Because they are with some of these ships that are sort of similar chassis. Like Vanguards. You can switch between all of them, but it is two different ships. Actually, not seeing that paint job in there. Or in there. That's weird. Where's that paint job? I told you I was obsessed with paints. You know this is the truth. Anyway, guys, that is it for Drake Day. Let me know if you're going to pick up a Clipper or Galmox. Galmox is interesting. I might have to, I'll upgrade from something else if I'm going to get it. It does seem like it is in a good area as far as how much cargo it can move. I could see this being super useful as sort of a local cargo mover while you're trying to build a base out on the ground. It could be really good for that. Like a sky crane, basically, which is sort of what the raft was originally supposed to be. So either this or the Clipper. Let me know what you think. If you just think they're hideous, if you hate Drake, let me know down below. All right, gang. Catch you next time.